Hi, my name is Kamal Rukh Khan. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. The past few days, I have been inundated with so many phone calls, so many messages regarding this pandemic, and people are going through a lot. Uh, this is just not an external battle where our governments are making decisions, there's isolation happening, and that isolation has caused a lot of changes in our lives. This is also happening inside our minds. There is a roller coaster of emotions. There's anger, there's insecurity, there's fear, and this is not something we asked for. But given this reality, it's important that we get together, use all our resources, and get through this thing. I'm going to try through this video to answer a few of the questions that have been asked of me. The first question that I was wanting to answer was, a lot of people are going through a lot of emotions where they say, I'm so unhappy, I don't know what to do, I'm scared, I'm lonely, I'm feeling very insecure, I'm just plain unhappy. So I want to answer this first. When we talk of happiness and when we talk of joy, we always term them as positive experiences, positive emotions, and we term all the other emotions like insecurity and fear and jealousy and whatever other guilt, whatever other emotions, we term them as negative emotions. So we've already started that judgment of being a right emotion and a not so right emotion. Many a times when we are going through problems, or if we have friends who come to us and say, be happy, be positive. You have a terminally ill patient and you say to them, be positive. And as much as it sounds so good, this kind of judgment really doesn't help us. Every emotion teaches us something, Every emotion tells us about what is important for us. Please hear this again. Every emotion tells us about something that is important to us. Let's take an example. Let's take loneliness. The reason I say loneliness is because I've got a lot of people who have called me telling me of how lonely they are. These are people who for the past few days haven't spoken to anybody, who haven't seen anybody's face. So, for example, if we look at loneliness, when you're feeling lonely, you ask yourself, what is it teaching me about what is important for me right now, which I don't have? Loneliness is the lack of meaningful interaction and meaningful relationships in your life. So now that you know what loneliness is and what is important for you, meaningful interaction, meaningful relationships, the next question is, what are the courageous steps that I can take to have these meaningful relationships in my life given the scenario right now, in a way that keeps me connected to my value system? So can I call my family? Can I call friends? Can I call that best friend who I haven't spoken to in years because of some stupid misunderstanding? Can I be part of the community? Can I go and help out some old neighbor who can't buy groceries? So the idea is to create meaning in your life. Once you are able to understand what emotions tell you, you're then able to figure that one out. And that is why I say all emotions are very important. So, and everybody will have different answers. So if for people who are feeling fear or for people who are feeling insecure, ask yourself this: what is this emotion trying to tell me about what is important for me right now? And every answer will be different for everybody, and then work from there. Another thing that I have been asked is, when you say take courageous steps, what do you mean by courageous steps? How am I supposed to take these courageous steps? So for example, every time that we feel fear, or we feel insecurity, or we feel any of these emotions, the first thing we do is we check our Twitter feed, we'll go to social media, and we will, quickly find out what's going on. What happens here is matters get worse. And what happens is something that we call emotional contagion, wherein you're now absorbing other people's emotions. which is now adding more chaos in your life. A very nice thing that I'd read that was written by Viktor Franklin. He was a brilliant psychiatrist. He'd survived the Holocaust. And a couple of months ago, I read something which really struck a chord. What he said was, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is the power of choice. And in that power of choice is where your growth and freedom lies. So if you take an example of, say, fear. I'm really scared. Somebody who's really scared of what's going on. Instead of going to social media or instead of going to your Twitter feed and checking what's going to happen, create that space. Create that space where there is the power of choice. And again, ask yourself, what can I do that would conserve this energy instead of scattering it and instead of just me wasting that energy? How can I conserve this energy? And you will get your answer in that space, in that pause. And you will find that the decision you make in that space and in that pause will just take you towards growth, will just take you towards a more peaceful day. And it's very important to take one day at a time in such a scenario. For me, I think that is the way I would manage this and I would find my courage. Somebody also asked me about children. How are you supposed to explain this to children? Children are also confused, as are the adults. In fact, probably even more confused because of their limited life experience. When children are confused and when they are going through sadness, we as overprotective parents often jump in and say, don't worry, everything will be fine. Instead of doing that, it's very important to make the child understand that it's normal to feel fear. It's normal. It's normal to feel confusion. It is normal to feel fear. We are there as a family. We will sort this through. Mama is also feeling confused. Papa is also feeling confused. And it's fine. It's normal. When you normalize other emotions beyond happiness and joy, the child also gets his or her answers the way I explained to you before. Also, it's very important for children to be able to label their emotions. So for example, and this is also for adults, because a lot of the adults called me and said, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. When you say I am stressed, you are saying I am. The entire me, the entire 100% of me is stressed. Emotions do not dictate. You have to let your empowerment dictate your emotions. You can't let emotions own you. Your empowerment has to own your emotions. So you have to be very, very careful of what you say, because it's not like I am stressed. What you can teach your children is to use words carefully. For example, I'm noticing that I'm feeling a bit stressed. I'm noticing that I'm feeling sad. Many a times children say, I'm sad. Help them label their emotions. Are you sad or are you bored? Are you sad or are you overwhelmed? And if you're bored, what can we do to help? Do you want us to dial the number of a friend with whom you can talk to? Would you like to play a game? What would you like to do? When you give that the power of choice to that child, you are again empowering that child. And this is great life practice for life, because you're actually empowering your child with all the psychological resources to handle life, because there will be issues in life, and this is a great practice that you can use on your children, and even adults can use this as well. There has also been a question about people who are working from home, where they said, how can I find my focus when I'm working from home? This is a forced sabbatical. It's not something that we chose. And working from home, the best thing you can do is create a routine, because sometimes people find that there's nothing within your control right now. And when you create a routine, when you create specific timings for specific things. It just kind of creates a little control over things. So involve children in the household chores. You explain to the children that now is my time that I need to work, so you need to be silent, you need to go to the other room and play, etc., etc. They need to respect that mommy and daddy have to work. Also, many a times while working, understand one thing: when you're working from home, you've obviously saved so much of travel time. Use that time constructively. Ask yourself, how am I using this time so as to not burn my energy looking at social media? Can I paint? Can I create a new hobby for myself? There are tons of things you can learn on the net. Maybe can I put my phone aside for 2 hours so that I don't get distracted with all the data that's coming in regarding the pandemic, which is psyching me. So there are so many things that you can do. Ultimately, I think it's all about generosity and compassion. History has shown that every time there has been a crisis, it's always been human beings and humanity at its best in terms of compassion, in terms of generosity. There was somebody who questioned me about how angry they were about people hoarding food and people hoarding stuff. And that's where compassion comes in, because it's very important to understand what is making that person behave in a way that is causing him or her to hoard like that. So compassion is not about right and wrong. Compassion is just about basic understanding. And if we would like to get through this phase in an easy way, it has to be with compassion, it has to be with generosity. Wish each other well, be part of the community, and just be willing to serve. My email addresses, etc. are given. If there is anything else that you would like me to answer, please feel free to ask me. I wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy. All the best. Bye-bye.